Hello and welcome to the second Train Sim World video, although it's technically the third, but whatever. Today we're going to be driving the Class 43 high-speed train, which you'll see right now. There's the three locomotives that we can drive for GWR, however, this is the one that we're driving today, the HST high-speed train. And I think today we're going to go for rain, just to show you the different weather effects. Although not too much rain, we don't want it, to be too dreary. But the game can have lots of different weather effects, and you can obviously customize them to how you really want them to be. We're just going to go ahead and choose a service. Ideally I want one in the afternoon, because last time we did a video it was in the morning. So this sort of switches it up, I guess. Still doesn't change the fact that we have to drive all the way from Reading to Paddington. So yeah, we'll do this one. We are going to Paddington again. I should have gone the other way on the line from Paddington to Reading, but whatever. We'll do that someday. Also skipped a part of the loading as well. Right, so here we are inside the Class 43. There's the master switch to unlock the whole thing. And we're going to take the brakes off because they're always on when you start. Put the reverser in neutral and then into forward. And then we can finally throttle up. So, you might be thinking, how powerful is this train? Well, 2,000 horsepower. Would that do it for you? Yeah, that's how much horsepower we've got, although we have a combined 4,000 horsepower if you include the fact that we've got a locomotive on the back of all this as well. And if you see how many carriages we've got, you'll be surprised that we can even make it up to the top speed, because we are dragging a lot of weight. But yeah. The game doesn't have any other variants of the HST though, any other variants with different numbers of carriages, but that's fine. I imagine one of these locomotives on their own would be quite difficult to handle without having the carriages to pull. And as you can see, we've got the windscreen wiper going away there because it is raining, and it will appear on the windscreen, so we need to keep that clear, although it's very light drizzle, so it shouldn't be too bad. Then again, you can change that and make it as bad as you want. You can even have it in a heavy snowstorm if you really wanted to, which we may do one day. And it's lagging a bit because I wanted to change the camera. Sometimes it does that, but it doesn't actually affect very much. And this is what we're driving, and oddly enough the smoke from the diesel engine is green for some reason. Must be the fog that's doing that. But yeah, we are dragging 1, 2, I'll count the carriages in a second. We are going to go all the way back. Also, there are people in these carriages, by the way. These are just AI passengers. It's not as full as, in general, this is what kind of a real train would kind of be like. You all have different booths and stuff like that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 carriages and another locomotive behind us. There he is. No one in that though. That's just if we're going the other way. It's a lot easier. So like we can actually see ahead. But yeah, the red marker lights on that mean that that's the end of the train. That's the rear of it. So anyway, in this episode I'm going to mess up first with a speed limit change. No, first with a random red signal, which if you pass, you instantly fail the thing. And I did request to pass it at danger. You can do that. However, it was denied because there's no other routes available. So that's annoying, but I didn't fail it. I got a lucky break. The game gave me a lucky break. So you've got all sorts of things you can control in here. Though, despite all the things that you can actually control, there's a couple of things I don't really want to mess with, just in case, you know, something bad happens. And guess what? I mess with something later on, and something bad does happen, at least for me anyway. So yeah. But oh, there's the blind. Most trains in the game probably have one of those. This one does have one, as does the class 166 that we drove in the first episode, and well, technically the second. But yeah, today this is going to be a two-parter. And we're going direct to London Paddington, and one of the main things about the high-speed train is that the journeys all end up being from about Reading to Paddington, just, you know, switching around the direction each way. So you've got the cab lights there. That's really nice, that brightens up the place. And also the second man seat, because, you know, you can actually sit next to the AI drivers and ride with them if you really wanted to. The devs tried their best to make the game as interactive as possible, so you can essentially take over when you like. That's the SD pedal, and that will be linked to something later on. Wink wink, nudge nudge. But yeah. Going up to a bridge, and we're over it now. Oh look, another one. So one thing you will find with the class 43 is that it's quick, and usually that means you'll get there within half an hour. I mean, a lot of the journeys with the HST that I've actually run have taken me over half an hour to actually complete. So pretty quick. Also, that's what the daytime headlights look like. They're only on the one side, because I'm trying to reason why that might be. And especially in this thick fog, I imagine those lights would probably help. So as far as I can tell, this game doesn't have random accidents that occur, and I imagine that's probably because they wanted the game to run smoothly, and they didn't want you to be not really taken out of the experience, but, you know, bothered. Because sometimes ridiculous things happen on the railway, and stuff like that includes morons hanging out on the track. Yes, that's something that annoys me. I remember seeing an episode of I think it was on the railways on the BBC. It was something about people who worked in the railway industry in London, and they were always, you know, preparing for new line maintenance and stuff like that. And one of the things that they ran across was the fact that there were people messing about on the line, and that caused lots of delays. And the police got involved, and I imagine that they were either, you know, fined for that, because that's a relatively serious thing. Not only is it, you know, disrupting everyone else, it's also making, you know, putting your own life at risk. There's a horn. And use of the horn, I don't think there's really guidelines for that. I haven't checked. Now, I remember when I used to see trains as a kid, and that was around the sort of Morley area of Leeds, and there's a bend in the track, and you'll see it in the Manchester to Leeds line, because the line is exactly the same. Oh, another train. The line is exactly the same around that area as it is today, although, you know, different sights to see from there. Obviously things have been changed, but yeah, the trains did use the horn around that bend, so you always knew there was one coming because you heard the horn. And usually it's a high blast and a low blast from the horn, but in this game you kind of can't do that, because switching between them is a little bit awkward. and I can't really find a way to quickly switch between them on the fly. You have to grab hold of the actual button to select high or low. So yeah, but good news is that we are speeding along at 125 miles an hour, which is the operational limit of this train. That's how fast it would normally ever go. Of course, the train itself can go more than that. I think it's 142 that it's actually reached, and that's the world record for a diesel train. There are electric trains that can go faster than that. Obviously, the bullet trains in Japan can go a lot faster than that, but they are powered electrically. And electric power is different than diesel power because electric motors don't have any wind-up time. So they start in pretty much full gear. They can go from a complete stop to full speed, full rotation, the actual motors themselves, very, very quickly, almost instantaneously, because that's what electricity is like. And by the way, this is where we start to get the whole red signal, and you'll notice that it's turning yellow. Now, of course, I didn't notice this at the time. As you know, I'm now speeding up, and I didn't notice it because I thought, oh, well, I guess I'm supposed to go along here at 125 because that's the speed limit, and now I am actually trying to slow down. Initial braking. But when the red light comes, you'll see oh dear, 0.9 miles to slow down to a complete stop. Now I get a lucky break here. I don't fail it here, don't worry. But you can see the red light in the distance. Right, that's me asking to pass the signal at danger, which was quickly denied. I'm on full service braking right now. This is full service. By the way, this is as powerful as the brakes get. And we wouldn't have made it had it not changed to yellow. Look, there's the red signal there. You can see it. Ooh. Come on. 60 yards away, about 69 yards away, and it changes to yellow. Oh my. Right, because of that I have to switch it back into neutral and then forward and then max throttle to get us moving again. That must have been very nerve-wracking for the passengers. Bloody signal. Right, the next one is red. Now, I have no idea why that happened. I assume it's because I was going way too fast and the game did not like that. However, we still make it to Paddington on time, by the way, at the end of all this, so it wasn't too big of an issue, but I thought at the time, oh no, this is going to make me late, and that train has gone past again. Anyway, what was I saying before this? I was saying something. Yeah, it'll come to me. It'll come to me. Eventually. Yeah, the program on the railways. No, hang on. I was talking about electric power versus diesel power. And this is a diesel powered train. This is the fastest diesel powered locomotive in the world. It's got the highest top speed that anyone has ever reached. Now, that's only because it's a production thing. So, usually, you could, in theory, make something a lot faster than this. However, it would be a one-off thing, whereas these locomotives were actually produced, mass-produced, in essence. I think they made around 70 of them to start with. But, yeah, they actually mass-produced them. So, it's all fine and good making something that's incredibly fast as a one-off, but it won't really make records unless it's a production thing. And the same applies to cars and whatnot. I mean, with things like space things like rockets, I imagine that they have world records as well, and the thing is, you really can't mass produce those because you'll quickly go bankrupt. I mean, entire nations would go bankrupt if they tried to mass produce them. And that's mainly why things like space shuttles were dreamed up, because they were reusable things. Granted, that didn't work, and I believe the space shuttle program has stopped over in the US. Anyway, there was a little bit of an issue as well. They had two fatal disasters with them. I think the first one was Space Shuttle Columbia, which was 1986, I think. Or was it 1988? Anyway, whatever. It was a terrible thing. You know, it's one of those things that's interesting to research, though. I may actually come back with a little bit more detail on that in the next episode, but I don't have time right now. I'd love to go into more detail about disasters and stuff, because it's something that interests me. I know it's morbid, but it interests me. Anyway, maybe it'll interest you, because then you'll see what happens when idiots are put in charge of things that they don't understand.